is. All right. Okay. So before we get into our our slides further, I want to take a step back, and I want to talk about your understanding of business analysis, the field of business analysis with you, and what do you think a role of a business analyst is, and when you are thinking of getting into this program, uh, what do you think the prerequisites are? Who wants to go first? Neha, Anu, guys?
Yeah,
Okay, I can.
actually, sorry, yeah, please.
And Neha, go first.
Hello?
Yes, Neha, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I think my laptop is freezing every now and then, so if you don't
Oh,
hear from me, don't worry, I can still hear you, but
okay.
so anyway, like I was saying, it's business analysis is basically getting a set of information from a client and processing it and then outputting it in a meaningful fashion where it can come out with kind of like a translation from a technical standpoint.
Yeah, good. And do you think, like, as you are coming from, a biology background, as you mentioned, do you think, or do you have any, this, mm, I would say, uh, heard, or you think that a business analyst should have a technical background, or they should know the technology they are getting into? Do you have those kind of uh, thoughts in your mind?
Well, I think not necessarily. I think it depends on the industry. So it just you need to know the subject matter, but I don't think you really need to know, programming or something, for example, if it was in IT.
Okay, great. So Neha, congratulations, your basic concepts are clear. You are absolutely correct. The business analysis is nothing. Anup, you want to add something over here?
Yeah, actually, a business analyst is a channel between the uh, investors and to the technical head. So here, what the role of business analyst? Not only to understand, to gather information from investors as well as SMEs, but also to translate into the technical word, technical language to the technical head. So business analyst must need and must understand little bit about technical.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so let me tell you, you both are right. You both are right, but then as Neha mentioned in the starting, that and you both understand the crux of business analysis very well. The business analyst is a bridge between the business and and the technical team. His role is to transform or translate the business problem accurately into business requirements so that the technical team understand those requirements and deliver the best suited solution to the business. So the business analyst has to make sure that there are no gaps. But yes, the business analyst, if the business analyst has some technical knowledge, it is an added advantage. But it is not necessarily required that the business analyst should have technical understanding. Rather, he should have the understanding of business. He should be able to uh, go in the detail of the problem, extract out the requirements to resolve that problem, and be able to translate and break down those requirements into detailed functions so that the technical team understand and provide the best suited technology, best suited solution to the business, which in terms helps business to uh, carry on their processes properly or resolve their issue, whatever what was the objective of their this whole process that get resolved. So Why we say that it's an added advantage if the business analyst has technical knowledge? Because if the business analyst has a technical understanding, he or she will be able to judge and evaluate the business solution which is being provided back to the business. It is just an added advantage. Like for example, if the business or the client here is a bank, and they have a process wherein they are looking for a business engineering for say, and they initiate a project. They want a business engineering project to resolve a problem. Let me quote an example. Uh, like what happens in the bank, for each process they have certain steps to be followed. Okay, that is what we call operations. They have defined set of tasks which has to be done to complete one particular piece of work. So to make sure that the work is being done properly and all the steps are being followed and nothing has been a mess, so the bank adhere to their checklist. So these checklists have normally been used in the bank in all the processes, and they are generally paper based. So now as everything is getting into technology, everything is getting web based and automated, so the bank decide that uh, they want to eliminate the paper based checklist, and they want a web based checklist. So what they do, they want to move from this is what their process re-engineering is. They are moving from paper based process to web based. So paper based process has steps like somebody is printing the checklist, somebody is taking that the checklist from one person who has executed the task. He is giving his sign off, then it is going for a peer review, then it is going to the supervisor, then it is going to the manager, and then it is getting stored. So this was the process earlier, and now they are getting into a web based format. So what will be the process now? Then the business analyst will try to sit with the yeah, okay, so this is a process. So the business analyst sees that it's a problem which can be resolved, which can be solved by using a workflow solution, because they are going for the business process re-engineering. So what is the best suited workflow technology we have in market, and what expertise we have to with our IT vendor. So say their IT vendor is like they are already working with some company, and they have IBM BPM as their technology solution available to them. So they will see that whether this particular problem is getting resolved with IBM BPM or not. Of course, the vendor will push IBM BPM because they are using the technology, they have the expertise with them. If the business analyst also has IBM BPM understanding, he will be able to see that yes, it is the best suited thing. If he doesn't know the IBM BPM technology beforehand, he will need to understand it, he will need to look into it, he will need to call out, he will not be able to call out the if there are any constraints which this technology brings to the table. So those kind of things can help the business analyst to to be more efficient, to be able to put forward opinion in a very structured manner, if the business analyst has the technology understanding. But then it is absolutely fine, because the soul of his job lies into understanding the requirement, being able to translate them into effective documents, break down them into correct functions, break down them into correct design components and user interaction screens, so that the technical team is able to deliver the solution. Are you guys with me? Are you able to understand? Am I going too fast? Please let me know.
No, I understand.
Okay, great. So good, we at least have our foundations clear. I'm glad that both of you know about it. So let's get started with this slide. So this slide talks about what is a business process. So as I was quoting example of bank, uh, we have processes all around us in our real life every day. I think we come across processes every time we do some business transaction or bank transaction, or even like sending a small mail, these kind of things. So can you quote an example you think define as process, and your understanding about what a process is?
Process actually that is in an organization which different departments get together and work together, understanding and coordinating with each other and give output for a company organizational goals.
Yes, that's absolutely right, Anu. So the process, like as I was saying, we have processes all around us. As I mentioned, that we even sending a mail is a process. Like you go, you drop the mail is getting sorted, and it's again getting sorted for different destinations and stuff. So any process or any business process, if we put the process into a context of a business, has an input, a process, and an output. So it is a set of related tasks performed to accomplish a specific organizational goal. So it calls out for an input. It get those inputs get used and they get processed to provide the output, which is the organizational goal. And uh, uh, let me pull an example for you to show how the process generally get defined and what are the components of a process. So let's take example of mm, a loan, mortgage loan. If you guys are aware, how the loans are getting originated, how they get sanctioned, right? Are you with me?
Yes, continue.
Okay,
Yes.
so we are taking example of loan origination to define what a business process can be. So can you tell me what should be the first step when somebody wants to go for a loan?
Of course, first discuss with the customer care department. So how he or she can proceed, what are the documents required. So first look for the inquiries and how a person can
Yes.
discuss.
Yes, so the first step is where did it go? Okay, so the first step is inquiry. Okay, or let's say we call it um, hmm, customer initiation. Okay, So the customer reaches to the bank and he initiates the loan process. So what will be the next step? What do you think will be the next step? Anup mentioned that there will be a document collection and
Yeah.
yeah. So when the customer goes and he does this initiation, uh, uh, the executive and the bank executive will ask for the documents and other like salary slip and resident proof and other steps. So document uh, collection and application first will be the second step. All right. So let's okay. Let's delete it. So basically, yeah. So then these documents will be provided in the bank, and the bank's KYC and other evaluation agencies will see whether the the customer is eligible for the bank. And in the meanwhile they also do you know this exercise of property evaluation. Do you have an idea what it is called? Have you heard about it? Neha, Anup?
No,
Okay.
not exactly.
Okay, so when the first step was customer initiation, the second step is document collection and application, then comes into picture KYC and appraisal. So what happens that the bank get in touch with a third party, and for the bank, that third party do the evaluation of the property. They see whether the loan amount which is being asked by the customer, it is appropriate, whether that property is worth that much money or not. So that exercise is done, and then this information is sent back to the bank. So the next step is uh,
Verification.
KYC and no, it's called appraisal. It's called property appraisal. So we will say appraise. Yeah, property appraisal. Okay. So what do you think? What happens next?
After getting confirmation from third party, the bank will proceed ahead with the application and
Mm-hmm.
uh, evaluate actually the verification was related to the documents and eligibility are really good or not. Then
Mm-hmm.
after the eligibility, the how much he or she can get the loan against his property.
Yes, yes, that's what we have done in KYC and property appraisal. And the next, the decision which you said is called loan approval, whether the loan is getting approved or not for that particular uh, bank customer. Okay, approval. So, um, okay, so when the loan approval happens, the next step is, what should be the next step? So the next step is that the bank gets in touch with the customer, and they get started with the loan disbursement process. That again requires a lot of documentation and couple of checks with third parties to, and then they decide when and where they have to provide the check to the customer. So then that all those steps, all those activities are sum up into loan disbursement. All right. So as we are going through this process, we see, okay, we see there are there are quite a few activities to complete a loan origination business process. So can you tell me what have been the input points and what have been the output points, and what are the processing steps in this particular process?
As per the input points is that the documents provided by the customer and requirements of the amount of loan that could be input, and the
Yes.
further output is loan disbursement as a check, and the process includes document collection, KYC and loan approval, I think.
Yes, that's very right, Anup. So the input points for this particular process has been customer's contact with the bank, as well as all the documents which he has provided, the application he has filled in with the bank. That is the point wherein this business process start. The KYC, the appraisal, as well as loan approval, all these have been the processes, the processing steps within the bank to take a decision whether the loan is going to get approved or loan is going to get rejected. So here, before disbursement, we had to have one more step which says it rejection, whether if the loan gets approved, then the process goes into disbursement. Otherwise, when the rejection happens, or reject, let's call it, and then the customer is getting informed and the process comes to an end. Okay. So the output of this loan origination process is the decision about loan approval or rejection, and then the loan disbursement process, which again in terms gives an output of the money going out to the customer's account. So this is what the business process will look like. Okay, so let's go back to our presentation. Sorry. Yes. Okay, any question around it, Nehanu?
No, thanks.
Okay. All right. So, as we have been talking about businesses having various business process. So these business process uh, are like, let's take the example of loan origination itself. Imagine one bank, it must be interacting with how many customers every day, how many loan origination requests they must be getting every day. So to handle this kind of volume, uh, they had to look into the manual process they have been already having. To they have to transform this particular manual process into one automated processes, so that the efficiency around these business processes increase, and the organization in question is being able to service you know um, service customers effectively, being able to generate greater amount of revenue, being able to profitable. So here we have been talking about business process. So it brings us back to the same question, that how do and where do the business starts defining their business process, and what kind of business process they need. So as we have talked earlier, that these business processes are meant to achieve one particular organization goal, and they help the organization to become and remain successful, competitive, and they help the business to recognize the points wherein they need the improvement. But as I said all this, I think I can sum up in one line, saying that the business process helps the business to concentrate on the actual task and be effective to execute them, and be able to reduce the cost around wastage of time, wastage of manual or human resources, and wastage around time getting wasted when there is no clarity around the process, as in uh, what business needs to do from one step to next step. So if they have a defined business process, they can they have a direction, a clear compact way of executing their business day to day, and being able to achieve their goal as as per the their business uh, strategy and goal, as you call it. Okay, any question around it so far?
No, thanks.
No? All right. So, as I mentioned about the cost earlier, if the business processes are not defined and businesses are not sticking to it, they might have, failure in resulting into higher cost. Their revenue can go down. They can have less motivated employees, as the employees are not able to deliver. In an effective manner. Uh, it can lead to employee demotivation, as the business is not able to generate revenue. It will not get passed on to employees, and they will not be able to get benefit out of their work. And not just that, even if you see, if you you might have experience that you visit one business arena, like let's call it a hotel. If you go to a hotel and you see that their all their departments are very fine tuned, they are working what they are required to do, they are being very effective in providing their services, you get a good experience out of it. If you go to another place wherein you don't see that people have quite clear quite clear processes defined for them, and they do not have clarity in terms of how to provide their services in a more and effective manner. So your experience there will not be that great. Are you with me? Neha, Anup?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to add something here, based on your own experience, and want to share something with each other? Please feel free. Please, interrupt me wherever you want to.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. And Anup, you are coming from FMCG, so I'm sure you must be having a great understanding of this.
Yeah, actually, of course, in all different organization I work,
Mm-hmm.
and everywhere I found a different kind of, but there is a certain process to
Mm-hmm.
execute the system and to achieve the business goal, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really very understanding and coordination between each and every departments, and so from logistic to the production and production, then sales team, then finance team, accounts and all. So it was really understanding a coordination of different uh, entire team and to achieve the ultimate result of the revenue for the organization.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good.
Thank you. Thanks, Anup. So we'll move on to the next slide. Yeah, so the next one is why do we need automation for the business process? As I was talking about the loan origination process, which we have discussed earlier. So handling the volume was, I think, is always one of the reasons automation came in picture in our, you know, uh, in our world, I would say. You see automation everywhere. So automation is moving the needle of business efficiency and simplifying human lives in general. Business that have automated their processes, cut prices, save time, and employ their manual workflow forces to solve more intelligent problems. They let machines to do the raw task while eliminating the chances of human errors. If I have to sum up all the things which I've said right now, I would say automation is technique of letting the process move from one task to another task on its own and discarding the human interactions whenever possible. So this helps to eliminate, any errors which can be brought into picture in if the system is not defined and it's not interacting on its own from one step to another. Any questions on this, Neha, Anu?
No.
Okay. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Benefits of automation is streamline communication. When the automation is in picture, the all the components of the process, they know how to communicate. They it's the system which make them communicate. They do not need to go out of their way. Like if you talk about a bank process, if they have applications to automate their process, uh, uh, the application talks from one node to another node on its own. Like if you take example of loan origination, the front desk node sent notification to the KYC team and tell them that this is the new application we have got, and please do a due diligence. Please start doing a KYC for this particular customer. They do not need to send email, and there are chances of eliminating that the KYC team has not checked the email, or they have missed out on email got deleted, or things like that. They avoid all those things, and the system, the application which is being accessed by the front desk and the application which is being accessed by the KYC team, they are talking to each other. They are nodes of process. They communicate with each other. They are sending the information on their own. So that increases the communication, as well as it decreases the chance of any gaps. It decreases the chance of communication getting lost by any leakage. And the next benefit it ensures that it has the enforcement of accountability. The front desk teams knows that it has sent the information to KYC. So the KYC has this information with them, and they are the next one who will work, and then the work will go forward to the next team. So this ensures that the business has empowered and made responsible to their teams to perform their task in an effective manner. Okay, so moving on to the next benefits, minimize cost and reduce manual errors as we have talked about it earlier, and it helps the business to keep and tab on their business process. Business knows that what all the nodes we have in our business process, what all activities being performed, what all different tasks are being packaged for one particular piece of work getting delivered. So that helps the business to give a chance to see if they can do some process engineering, they can eliminate or they can introduce another step to resolve if they have any problem, or if they can perceive that this something is making things delay, making things slow, so they get a better control over the entire process, I would say. Any questions so far,
Yeah,
Neha? Yes.
I found, please go back to the slides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, since we feel that automation is the important,
Mm-hmm.
but is this necessary to operate all these things? We can do manual all these things also.
It depends, it depends. I'm not saying that manual work is not important and manual work has to be replaced by automation. No, I'm not saying that. It's the nature of the work, and it's the nature of the business which has to take a call about automation. And why we are talking about automation? Because as a business analyst, the work you will be doing in the IT industry, which is moving towards automation. That is the advantage we bring to table when we go to the business. That's why we are talking about automation here. You are very right that it is not only automation is not the answer for everything. I completely agree. Like for example, if you have assembly line for let's take example of assembly line of a ship and assembly line of iPhone, okay, or maybe assembly line of a jewelry maker, for example. So the ship making company can have automation because they have maybe big parts, they can assemble faster. But when it comes to very minute and detail oriented work, maybe manual handwork is required. Maybe for iPhone assembly we have somebody sitting and taking care of small parts, doing those transistors and screen work and whatever you call it. It's required to do manual, so they have to do manual. So that is what it is. But as a business analyst, why we need to know the benefits of automation? Because that's the advantage we generally bring to the table to our customer. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So are we good to go on?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So the next question is how we do automation for business process. So my answer will be by using technology and by using IT solution, because we are talking about the that area of business wherein we can go and we can give the uh, IT solutions to our customers. All right.
Little noise. Sorry to interrupt. Little noise from your back. So,
Are you able to hear noise?
yeah. Yeah. So
Okay. Is it better now?
yeah.
I mean, is it disturbance or it's because I am sitting in a room, so I don't hear anything.
But
Maybe
I'm
it's the
getting.
line.
It's fine. Okay. Yeah. Continue.
All right. Is it better now?
Yeah. Fine.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. So, we have been talking about IT solutions. So if we, go back to our previous example of loan origination. So imagine the bank having, so many of these loan applications coming to them, front desk handling them and KYC handling them, and then they have everything manual, and they are sending paperwork back and forth, and then it goes out to a third party which is sitting somewhere else, and then it takes a lot of manual effort as well as human effort, and time as well as money involved to do these particular transactions, sending back and forth these information. So to resolve this gap, the business recognize that they have a need to have a solution which can eliminate eliminate these interactions and reduce the time of getting a loan processing done, which will help them in terms of doing more customer interactions, doing more loan origination, which will help them to increase their revenue in long term. So what the business will do? The business recognize this particular problem. They can they can have their own subject matter expert, which will which will look into this whole process and define their requirement. This is what we are doing, these are our business processes, these are our steps, this is where we interact to the third party outside, this is our process of interaction with them, this is what we send, and this is what we receive from them, these are the paperwork. They do all this homework, and then they need a IT solution. So what they're gonna do, they will get in touch with the IT solution provider, like a technical organization which can give them the solution. So this can also be done, like this interaction can also be done through publishing their RFPs. We will come to these terms later in the course. So RFP is the request of proposal which any business send to the technical organization and ask that whether you can resolve this problem. Do you have any solution for us? And then the IT organization goes back to the business, and then they see whether their technology, the technology they are working into, has those can resolve this particular problem or not. So let me take a step back, and let's talk about what kind of or IT solutions or IT options, I would say, are present in our scenario. So the industry is based on two functions. First is product-based company, and second is a service-based company. Actually, this particular statement applies to, I would say, industry in a whole. Like, so do you understand product-based companies and service-based company, Anup and Neha? Neha, I would ask this
Yeah.
question to you because I'm sure Anup understand this part. Neha? Neha, are you there? Neha is not there.
Sir, perhaps.
Okay. All right, Anup. So,
Sir.
do you want to talk about it? Do you want to give some insight on, product-based company and service-based company? I'm sure you know about it.
Yeah, I know about product-based company as well as service-based company. No problem at all with it.
Okay. All right.
If
So,
you want to explain little more, it's fine
okay.
to get a brush up and all.
All right. So the product-based companies are those companies which has a tangible product to offer to the market, which people can buy and they can use, like our phones, our televisions, our our FMCG products, our food. Everything is fall into that category. And then the service-based companies are like hospital, hotels, and different kind of places like airports where they provide, like airlines, they provide their services to the customer to help them uh, get their objectives done. Like for example, if somebody wants to travel from point A to point B, they will take help of airline company service to fly from point A to point B. So that is the service which has been provided by that particular company. So same is the scenario, or same kind of functions are provided by IT companies as well. IT companies are also categorized into these two categories based on what they have to offer to the market. So we have product-based companies and we have service-based company. So if the business is interacting with a product-based company, the product-based company will see what their problem is and whether their existing product can resolve this problem or not. If it can, it will just sell its product as it is to the particular business, and their job is done. For example, like we are using these different softwares like Oracle software, or we have Visio, or we have this Microsoft Word, Excel. These all are products. So the company sells this product as it is. They do not customize the project as per the customer, unless until it's a huge uh, client and there's a big demand, then they might be doing some kind of things. Otherwise, the product companies, they just prepare the product, they just develop it, they enhance it based on the changes in the market. They take up those kind of small products to re-engineer or just enhance their product to differentiate it from the competitor. So they do those kind of developments. Then we have service-based companies. So service-based company, they have the expertise with them. They have the workforce which understand certain technology, and then they go to their business customer and then say, okay, this is the problem you have and this is the way we are going to solution it, and we will provide you an application or a product which you can use to resolve your problem. Like for our example, if the bank is looking for automation of their loan origination process, if any product based company has it, the bank can just go and adopt it, train its staff to start using that application suite to be able to do all the steps, starting with customer interaction till loan disbursement. Otherwise, they will interact with the service company, IT service company, and they will sit and they will first look into if the bank has done the requirement, defining step. They will RFP, if the bank has provided, they will uh, analyze it, and from there they will take up the project of creating an application for loan origination for the bank. So here we came to the point where we can start talking about the projects. Any questions so far, Anu?
Yeah, actually, I'm having a little confusion since
Mm-hmm.
if, for example, Microsoft has so many products like Word, Excel, and there are so many packages for to
Yes.
learn different things.
Yes.
So those are product as well as soft. Those are software products,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So in that situation, if any organization, as like a bank,
Mm-hmm.
requires any software installation as well, or any help from the IT industry, so how can we differentiate between the product and service in that?
Okay. So that's a very good question. So if and it happens that maybe they have defined a process wherein the applications are being developed by an IT company, but then that that process will require certain products also to get involved in that process, right? That's your question,
Yeah.
correct? So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happens. So the requirement of a different product will be called out during the designing phase, and and when the manager is doing assessment for the required resources, then he will call out that this particular product is required for our project, and we have to assign a budget for this. We have to have this cost associated, and we have to have this product into our solution. So that happens. Okay,
Yeah.
like if I give you an example of uh, say you have different mm, uh, these financial products are available in the market, for different financial products, as in for different banks work. There are different financial modules are available, like for KYC. Let me take an example.
Yeah.
KYC. There are many products available for KYC. So the bank, so in our example, the bank can do this thing that they have defined. The IT service company will help the bank to develop their front end application, develop their appraiser interaction view, as well as different data sources and data model define, and all the background work they are doing. But then they know that we have a complete application defined for KYC. They'll just go buy it and then fix it in the process. That's it. That will
So,
yeah.
yeah. So in that case, a company require either products or either can purchase product from any IT company and install itself.
Yes.
It can be had a service from IT in the company so that install that things and accordingly the manager.
No, generally, if somebody is selling a product, the service also lies with them, because these are all licensed product. So you
Yeah.
cannot go and do any changes in their code,
Okay.
correct?
Mm.
And but then there are certain open source product which provide some kind of plugins, some provide some kind of these kind of interference in their model. But then that depends what kind of product we are talking about.
Okay.
So generally, open source products like IBM BPM, which we have been talking about in our example,
Mm.
it's kind of open. It has those plugins, it has those interfaces wherein a different system can be plugged in, and the system can talk to a different product or system outside. It happens, but then it all. But then I think your question is that why the business takes the pain of doing application development for themselves, why they
Yeah.
just don't go and get the product from outside.
Right.
Yes, because every bank or every organization in every business process is unique.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to get something which suits them 100% is not a is not a easy thing to do. Either the bank has to adopt themselves to the product, or they have to get the product defined for themselves. That again comes to this point, that what business wants, how they have what is their strategy, how they want to resolve a problem, whether they want to change the process they have for themselves, and they can just go and take a product from outside. they can do that. So they have to do this cost evaluation, effort evaluation, impact, whether it's easy to get an application developed for themselves, do a process reengineering exercise. Is that more effective? It is best suited for them. So that is where the sometimes that's where the business analyst can help. you know he is the person who can give those answers. That depends, and that also depends where he stands. Suppose it's a bank, and the this IT team is the bank's own IT team. All right, banks do have their IT development teams, right? So if they see that the cost of developing a solution is much higher than what is about getting a product from outside and do some changes around your process and adopt to it, it's much cheaper. They would say go ahead and do it, rather than doing this 1 year exercise. You will be done in 3 months. But it could be
Yeah.
possible that the business analyst, the uh, business doesn't have a business analyst. They do not know how to approach it, and they go to IT company. And if IT company's business analyst is involved, his interest will be to get the project rather than giving the business its best suited solution. What do you say, right?
It's
So
true. Yeah.
yeah, so it's very subjective. It's very subjective. But then the crux is, the role of a business analyst is to think of the best solution provided where he stands. I would put it like that.
That's fine.
Okay, all right. So as we have talked about, getting into projects, let's get into the detail of that. So what is a project? A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create unique product, services or result. So product, I'm sorry, the basic, foundation of a project is it is temporary. Why it is temporary? Because it has defined end start point and defined ending point, because it has to deliver its objective in that particular span. So a project is always temporary because it is known that, and by temporary it doesn't mean that it has to be a short span. By temporary it means that it's not going to be an um, always running thing like an operation. Operations are business as usual. Operations are like, one step will start from today, and then there will be second step. Like for a day-to-day business activity, there will be certain steps, and they will be getting followed day and day and day for months and years. There will be no change, because that's how the business is going to provide their services, or manufacture their product, or achieve their business objective. That's the way for them. But project is always temporary, to create a unique product, service or result. All right. And there are two kind of projects. First is fixed bid project or a billing project. So fixed bid project means that the business has decided that, okay, this business asks for a fixed scope, that this is the money. In this you have to deliver me this product. I am not responsible, or I am not concerned whether you incur more cost, or something goes wrong, but this is what you have to deliver within this particular cost. Like we have, suppose housing projects. You go and you tell the contractor, provide me this house in this particular time, in this, these are the specification, and I am not going to spend more than this. This is what is the contract is saying. So that's how happens in these fixed bid projects. The next one is billing project. So in billing projects, the vendor or the solution provider provides an estimate of this is the resource required, and these are the billing rates for these particular resources. So the customer will pay, as and when the resources come and do work for them. All right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next is IT project structure. So the IT project structure starts with our business stakeholders. So Anup, do you have an understanding about business stakeholders? What do you think a business stakeholder is?
Business stockholders are mainly the owner or investors of the organization board of directors. They are business stakeholders.
Yeah, very right. Business stakeholders are the people or the person who is paying for the IT projects. As simple as that. He is the person who will get impacted or his team will get impacted when the project is delivered, and he is the one who is providing the funds for this particular project. So that's the business stakeholders. It could be one person, it could be a team, it could be, a couple of people. That depends from business to business. Okay. And now, uh, as we have talked about the monetary interest, as well as business stakeholders can have intangible interest as well. Like for example, there are two business heads. One is sponsoring, and the other person is getting work delivered from that particular division. So if the work is being delivered and that is getting impacted by his project, so he is also the stakeholder in this, if he has been onboarded to have a say in the project. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next is subject matter expert. Subject matter experts are the people who know the inside out of the business which is in question for the IT project. Like for example, if the IT project is to develop a loan origination, application suite, then the subject matter experts will be the people who are involved in doing the processing, or maybe their managers who know what all happens, who know what all issues they come across, who know what is the information flow, what are the artifacts which is taken care, who know that what blockers they might come across, or these kind of people who know the business inside out. For example, if the project is to develop a healthcare, or say uh, a system which is taking care of patients, patients record and stuff. So who will be the subject matter expert here? Here, the subject matter experts will be, the the hospital document handling people who know what kind of records they have to maintain for each patient, who know that where these information go, how these information are protected, how these informations is channelized from test labs to operation theater and stuff like that. So these are the subject matter experts who know what happens in the business, and what are their different steps, what is their connection, what are their connectors, and what are their deliverables. So these kind of things. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next is technology head. So technology head is a person who heads the entire IT project, but he is generally, I mean, this is what happens. He's not he is a person who heads the technology division, but he is not the person who will sit and monitor each projects. He will have different projects under him. He umbrella a lot of projects going on, but then uh, he heads one particular technology. Like for example, our IBM BPM. So IBM BPM technology head will know what all kind of workflows products we can take up, what solutions cannot be resolved by workflow solutions. So he will have his say. He will say that, no, this is not our kind of a job. If there's no workflow in your yeah, there's no workflow to be introduced to resolve your problem. So no, we cannot go ahead with this. Or if he says something and there's no explicit workflow, but he feels that yes, this is something where workflow technology can be introduced. So he will have a say that okay, we will have this project in our umbrella and we will deliver. Okay, any question,
Yeah.
Anup?
Yeah. So actually, just as per my knowledge, that the technology aid is not the part of the company of business stakeholders, right?
It can happen. It can happen that the generally the technology head is not from the business side. You are right. You're
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
But sometimes they like, for example, I'll take banks. So bank, they have their core business into serving the customers, focusing on their financial products and stuff. But they have their IT development team, which take care of the projects within. But then they get their work done by the vendors. So their IT head can then the business can have the IT head, which takes the responsibility of all the vendors who are working on their different part of work. You getting me? So
Yeah.
it could be a case that technology head sits there. It could be possible.
Okay.
All right. It depends on how the business wants to go about their IT projects, right? If they want to outsource everything, if they want to give everything to the IT organizations, their technical vendor, they can give everything to them, and they can have this structure also. Okay, so moving on, then there are four different, I would say, pillars for any IT project. One is technical architect, then project manager, QA manager, and production support. So the role of technical architect is to provide the blueprint of the IT solution. He is the one with whom the IT BA works mostly. With technical architect, he translates that this is the problem we have, these are the requirements, and then technical architect has the expertise of the technology in question, and he draws the blueprint. He says that okay, this is the solution we can provide with our technology, and these are the requirements we are able to deliver, and these functions will be performed by our solution to address the objective of the IT project. Then he can have junior technical architects within him, and he also kind of heads, or he doesn't head, but he works very closely with the technical lead and developer, because they are the people who will bring his design into picture. They will translate his design into the product. So that's how IT technical architect and technical lead and developer, they work very, very closely with each other. Okay, Anu?
Yeah. Fine.
All right.
Yeah. Fine.
Okay, so then we have project manager. So as the name explains itself, project manager is the one who takes responsibility of project planning, project deliverables, project monitoring and control, and making sure that the costs remain under control, and he is the one who makes sure that the required resources are available, and he also takes care that the any changes which is being introduced in the project, they come from proper channels and they get addressed, they get proper sign-offs. He defines the milestone, and he takes the those sign-offs and deliverables from business to the team. Okay, and
Right.
then we have technical lead. So the technical leads is responsible for his piece of work, in terms of, like, if we have a product and there are different functions and the teams are, or it could be possible that a technical lead is responsible for all the modules and all the functions in one go, but he takes care of the technical development, design, and then software specifications, and then system testing, and all these things get delivered from his side. He is the responsible person, and he heads the team of developers are the pieces of the team who actually do the coding work, and they develop the product with the guidance of technical architect, project manager, and technical lead. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when the development is done, then QA manager comes into picture. He heads the team of QA leads, who heads the testing team. Testing team has one or many tester depending upon the project size, and these QA manager makes sure that all the requirements which has been undertaken, uh, they have been covered in their test cases. He defines the test plan, he defines the test strategy, and then he also makes sure that all the required documentation is done, sign-offs are being taken, and when the defects are reported, they get logged properly, and they get communicated back to the VA as well as the development team, and they are getting tested properly and delivered finally in the product. Okay,
Yeah.
so till this
So
time,
here,
yeah.
sorry. Actually, just I wanted to know that the different testing team, right?
Hmm.
So is the develop only or test and then forward to the testing team, or develop and test also?
Yeah, so there are different steps. So what happens when a piece of code is developed? The developer does unit testing. They have to see, whether that particular piece of work is working as expected or not. So first the unit testing happens. After unit testing is done, then they do integration of these different piece of codes, and then one system integration testing is done. So these two testings are taken care by the development team. Unit testing as well as system integration, SIT testing. It's taken care by them,
Okay.
and then it comes for functional testing to the testing. Even testing team, they also do a lot of technical testing also, not just the functional testing. They perform, they write, various test cases to test all the requirements. They write different scripts to run those test cases. They even create test data to be able to perform that particular piece of testing. And then if they find any defects, they go and inform the project team or developers that this is what you have to fix, this is what is not working properly. So the testing is divided into different um, I would say different nature of testing, and it is performed by different teams. For example, when the testing team is done by their testing, then BA, most of the times BA comes into picture and they perform first level of UAT. So those test cases are written separately. Those test cases are meant more as how user interacts with the system and what is his expectations, what is his interactions, and based on that what result he should be getting. So the BA also does those test steps, and when he is satisfied, he will call the users, and then in a in a uh, in a different environment from the production which is being used by the business as usual, these particular business users perform those actions, and if they are satisfied, then only the technical team goes ahead and then deliver this particular piece of work of their into the production, and then everybody starts using it. Please let me know if something is not clear or am I going too fast.
Yeah, actually, it's okay, it's fine. But here is the complete project structure. So I need to understand where, how will you fit the business analyst from the beginning?
Exactly. So I was going to address that, and we have a slide, quite later in the presentation, but I'll let you know. Let me just, finish this production
Yeah,
support.
please, please.
Yes. So what is production support? Do you have any understanding around it? Have you heard about it before?
Yeah, as I understand, the production support is the after getting product, the service after the sale kind of thing. So
Yes,
after getting,
yes,
yeah,
like customer support. That's what is
yeah.
production support. So once the software application or product is delivered and is being used by the business, if they come across any issues, then we have a production support team which handles it, and they get a set of instructions there that because we are aware that the customer might not be, the users might not be aware how to use the new system, they might be coming across these issues, so the production support helps the business to resolve those issues. So now come where exactly the business analyst sits. So in an ideal situation, the business analyst will sit with the with business stakeholders and technology head, take the requirements from business stakeholder and explain it to business head that this is what is happening. I'll show you that slide. Yeah, this one. Okay, but then business analyst role is not restricted to this particular segment. He works with technical architect to explain the design to him, to explain the requirement to him so that the design gets chucked out, and then he is the one who has to take a call whether the design, the solution which has been provided by the technical architect is going to actually resolve the problem or not, because sometimes happens like the business requirement is so complex, and the technology has its limitation. Okay, and then you have a constraint of cost. So with all this, the technical team is providing a solution which is nowhere going to resolve the or resolve the business problem, or is nowhere near to the near to providing the solution they
Providing
have
the
been
solution
looking
they
for.
have been looking.
Okay, so a business analyst plays a role there also. He has to see whether the solution is actually going to solve the problem. Then he has to work with project manager and technical team as well as developer, hands in hand, with the development in the development phase as well. Okay, so after the technical architect has provided the solution, the business analyst provides different kind of artifacts like BRD. BRD is business requirement document and functional specification document. Then product backlog, these kind of documents, so that the project manager and technical team can help the developers to develop the product or application, as well as he has to take their day-to-day queries or blockers if they come across, they are not able to understand a requirement, or they have an issue in implementing their requirement, they find that something else is getting affected, then it's business analyst duty to go back and discuss it with the business and see how it can be resolved. And if it's a change request, then come back to the project manager and see whether it should be how much effort is required to address this particular requirement change, whether it has to be incorporated in this particular release itself, or it can be stopped and it can go into it can be de-scoped and go into next release. So all those decision makings happens and communications happens because of business analyst, because he understand what is being asked for, what has to be delivered. All right, and the business analyst interacts and works with QA team as well when they are developing their test cases, when they are working on the test data. He has to make sure that the data has its sanity, the test cases are written properly, and they are addressing the requirement expectations. So he has to provide the sign-offs for that as well. So, and even for production support, for production support, they have to provide them a different knowledge kit articles which help them to resolve the issues which is being faced by the users. So the business analyst either help the production support people to write those, and they business analysts provide training every time a new enhancement is coming up, because the new functionality, what it is working, what are the changes in the application. He has to take the production support team through those changes and make them prepare before the application goes live. All right.
Yeah, actually, just I want to understand one thing more, that
Mm-hmm.
you see, a business analyst role starts with the business stakeholders and then communicate with technology. Then again, it requires to teach with technical architect, project manager, new manager, and product support at every stage.
Yes.
So, how it start the process? It starts from the business stakeholders or bidding and all kind of things, getting project from the business stakeholders. So how it just starts?
Yeah, so it depends. Like as I mentioned, let's go back to our example of loan origination application. As I said, that most of the times the organizations, they do study, or they do exercise on their own. They find out what they need, and they come up with this document called RFP, and then they get in touch with organizations to provide them solution. So when they have this document ready with them, then first of all, the technical head, they and the sales team also, they do a kind of a technical feasibility check, whether they have the technology, they have the expertise to take up this project. If they do, they go ahead and then they sit with the business analyst, and there they start doing this exercise, because the information which was provided by the business stakeholder, it was quite a macro level. It's like n minus 10, so they have to start breaking it down and bring it down to all little details. Like, if I have to give you an example, like say, the loan origination start with customer interaction, and they need a front desk application. So this is what is the requirement at the business stakeholder level. But then what exactly will be going? It will have customer name, it will have customer address, it will have customers, educational information, it will have a customer's work information, their work address, their phone number, and credit score, and whether they have any other loan or not, what all properties they have, all these kind of details they will be getting defined with the business analyst. Then he will also call out that, okay, we need to see credit score. Okay, so here at this point of time, the system has to interact with a third party application, which is doing credit score evaluation, or they keep the credit score, so the system has to interact with their system and get the credit score populated over here, and stuff like that. So all these small details will be called out by a business analyst, and even subject matter expert can help business analyst doing that. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other clarity you want around it?
No, it's fine.
No? Okay. So I think we are good for today's session, Anup. We will
Yes.
continue from here next time because I don't want to overload you. We are already almost 2 hours, like 1.5 hours
Yes.
into it.
Yes. Fine.
So
Yeah.
please feel free, to